some of you may have heard of that or seen some of our promotion of it. Brooklyn Castle is a documentary that chronicles the pursuit of championships by IS 318 middle school in New York. And it's an incredibly compelling story. This will be a wonderful tool to open the door to chess programs in schools all across the nation. It won the Audience Award for Documentary at South by Southwest, a very famous film festival. The remake rights have been sold to the guy who did No Country for Old Men. And the distribution rights agreement has been put in place, and I think it's October 18th that begins to appear all across the nation. So,
October 19th.
Is it 19th?
18th is a promo thing, but the 19th is when it's released.
Okay, released on the 19th. 18th, there is a promo deal on the 18th.
And I only know this because the marketing director talked to me like 2 days ago.
Okay. I'm very excited about the things he's got rolling. There is a national chess day this year. We initially had some concerns as to whether we were going to get that to occur again this year. It is on for, I believe, October 13th.
Correct.
And we're working on getting a lot of things across the country set up. Hopefully we got St. Louis on board with something there. And we've got several big things all around the country planned associated with that. And then we'll also be co-marketing, USCF materials at the sites of showings of Brooklyn Castle. We have a very good budding relationship with the After School Alliance, which is a very large organization all across the country, and we have plans to do something with chess. And their big promotion every year is Lights On After School. I believe it's in the month of October, which works nicely with us there too, where chess will be a focus for them with that. So we're working on lots of different projects there, and we're getting some good traction, good head there. We've got a lot of big, I don't want to give away all my hot topics for Saturday, but I'll give you another little nugget. Starting very soon, we'll be getting new membership cards. Whether life members will take a little bit longer, but we're going to get a really nice hard plastic card as a life member. But also, all USCF members will receive a hard plastic card. It probably will have, I think we've decided to put barcoding on it. We're right at first, we won't have a use for the barcoding, but someday we may be able to, you may be able to walk up to the registration desk at a national and just scan it and all your information pop up. There it is. It's going to take a while for that to become a reality, but that's a possibility. And this basically is the look of your membership card. A hard plastic card that will, this is the picture that's on the cover.
I guess it's a terrific idea.
And it, we've kicked it around, and we're still working on exactly how we want to do it going long term. But the thought is, it's a new member, especially their initial impression of the USCF, and we want to send the message of quality. We're a serious organization, and quality. And I was the one that made membership cards cheaper, a lot cheaper, a long time ago. But we were in recovery and survival mode there for several years. Well, now it's time to, like I put in my executive director's report, it's time to start moving forward. And this is one of the things that we're doing. Now we got a lot of work to do on the website too, but slowly but surely we're working on that. But these cards, the neat thing about it is, it's a total of about 2.4 cents more, per card.
I mean, you're going to make my laminated paper card obsolete?
It will make your laminated paper card
That I got in 1980 to 1979.
right. Yes.
It'll make it a valuable museum.
There you go.
Now,
Put it on a shelf next to some of your clocks.
Yeah.
on the life member, you know, obviously I still want to be financially prudent with how we do this. What I want to do with the life member cards is it'll be a little while, we'll send them out. It's about time now for doing the, every 3 years, we're supposed to ask you, do you want to keep receiving Chess Life? And so it's about time for that. And we'll also probably put in some information about how to leave a bequest to the USCF. But, the 501c3 application, we're not expecting to hear a final answer until maybe February or March of next year. So I don't know that I want to wait that long for it to see if we get that. But we'll send it out when I can package it with 2 or 3 other outreach things to the life members, you know, so that we're killing multiple birds with one stone. But it's, you know, another way too to hopefully just reinvigorate the life members and say, you know, there's 10,000 people there that are going to say, hey, oh wow, this is something really different. We changed our renewal mailings too, and this is the picture on the postcards for the renewal mailings. So we've really spiced it up, jazzed it up, and you know, you may feel it's a little bit fiscally irresponsible to go to a fancy hard card. It costs us half the price of what we were already paying for those other ones. So not only did we get nicer, we got fancy. We saved money. So, and that was a special printing find by Robert that made that happen. We also, in the spirit of really changing our image, how many of you seen the August Chess Life? We got one in the room. Oh my. Do you want to go get one? Do you want to
We've
get
got
one?
a couple copies in the back.
Huh?
When we were get the.
Why don't you go get a box? Let's go ahead and start handing it. There's a little change.
I think it's terrific change.
It's color, 4 color throughout the entire magazine.
Open up.
If you go on Facebook and like Facebook, USCF, Chess Life has a page, and you would know this already.
You can see it. Here's the
There you
pictures
go.
in color in the middle.
Good card.
That's a good. Here's the picture.
Yeah, it's terrific. Look at that.
I've already, I don't know, I think I forwarded it to you. Got an email today just glowing about the changes in Chess Life. It's, you know, again, you know, it costs a lot extra to do color, right? Yeah, you're getting the point. I'm setting you up. Actually, our printing contract will be renewed this year. This year's color is actually free. A free upgrade as a bonus to get us to do the contract. Joe works hard and Daniel worked together renegotiating that contract, and we moved some of our other publications all under one house, and through that whole process we'll save about $70,000 on our printing costs. Now, in the end, the budget for next year that we're presenting, I think we've got like $30,000 profit that we're showing, so we're budgeting a little bit smaller profit. We've got some savings in there, but we've also got some areas where, you know, we've had to expand a little bit with the hiring of marketing director and some other things on there. Also, health insurance costs skyrocketed this year. We had what was the percentage increase? 25% increase in just the cost of our health insurance. So that was a big hit. But through it all, we're going to be able to have a little bit better than balanced budget, and also be able to start moving forward. You know, we spent a lot of time in survival mode and recovery mode. Well, now we can toot the horns and start moving this organization.
You know,
65-year-old and over people in the office, you could really drop those insurance.
Anyway, I want to leave some stuff for Saturday, so.
Okay, well, thank you, Bill. Alan?
We're going to have the finance workshop tomorrow from 1 to 3 in the Discovery A room, so I'm not going to go through details of the financial statement. I do want to point out a couple of key things. For this current year, the bottom line was originally budgeted to have a surplus of just under $76,000, and we came in at around $250,000. That was because our membership has been increasing. Our membership revenue exceeded budgets significantly. And the expense area was kept under control. Going into this next year, we are budgeting, as Bill mentioned, around a little more than a $30,000 surplus, and that's significantly lower. And that is because this is an Olympiad year. The Olympiad we figure is going to cost the USCF out of pocket, net of sponsorships, around $110,000. Also, the World Youth is going to cost the USCF out of pocket, net of anything else, around net of payments, etc., around $40,000. World Junior 10, Pan Am U15. So we got $175,000 this year, which is significantly more than last, because last year wasn't an Olympiad year. So we got to climb that hurdle. We also have, one way that some of the numbers have come out is by deferring some cash expenditures that need to get made. So we're going to have to devote some cash to some infrastructure work in the office. The computer systems are critical to what we do, and they are not very new. It's a polite way of saying, computer years are sort of like dog years, and Fido's getting ready to go to vet for the last push, okay? So we gotta reduce some stuff there, and that's going to take some cash. The good news on the finance side is we have largely paid off all of the costs related to the legal situation with our former EV members. Most of those legal bills had been carried by the legal firms. Some of it we had borrowed money on the line of credit, and we were pretty well through all of that at this point. The end of the fiscal year, we still had some money due to attorneys, something like $65,000, and
15 grand. It'll be paid off this month.
And that's what I'm getting ready to say. And that was projected to be done by September. So we're going to get there. And so it's good, but it is far from being really good. Okay, I mean we've still got challenges. It's not like we can run out and throw a bunch of money and things, because we don't have a lot of reserves at this point in the operating side. And that's going to be, we've got to spend some money on some infrastructure. We're having to spend some money on just normal expenses going up. We're saving some money in other areas, but we've got to build some cash. And that's a significant thing that's going to be a challenge over my remaining term to try to get some of those cash reserves in place. And I think that's, oh yeah, there was one other thing. And I'm going to sort of jump down because it's my area. As Bill had mentioned, we did complete the application process to change the tax-exempt status of the USCF from being a nonprofit under 501c4 to a 501c3. There are 12 different categories under the 501c designation for different types of tax-exempt organizations. The one that you're most familiar with is a 501c3, and that is one that can accept tax-deductible contributions. Okay, others are, you know, like your Chamber of Commerce is a 501c6 most likely. And so the board had made that decision. The delegates had approved it to make that application change. The application is fairly extensive. It finally got done and sent to the IRS, and they haven't opened it yet. We know that because we know kind of where they're at in the queue, and they're up to ones that were filed a couple of months before we filed ours. And once they open it, they will, all of them across the nation are reviewed in one office by the IRS, so they have a dedicated team who that's all they do. And once they do it, then if they need more information, they'll contact us. We may have to tweak the application a bit. It's an interactive process. And then once we get it finalized, and once they make a decision on it, that application is a public document. It is not a public document yet because it's not final. So we'll be happy to make that application public at the time, but it's a little premature. I hope we have this resolved in one way or another by the time of this meeting next year. I think there's a pretty good likelihood we will, but I don't know. I think they will have started on it before that, and whether we will have worked through all the process and have a final determination from the IRS, it's just kind of up to how the process works. We are still a 501c4 tax-exempt organization. Okay, so that hasn't changed, and it won't change as a result of this process. What might change is we might be able to accept tax-deductible contributions. So, as we know more about that, we will certainly be reporting to the board, which you'll be able to pick up through the board minutes, and if we get good news on it, we'll really let you know, I'm certain. And Madam President, that's the extent of my report.
Thank you. Moving on to committee liaison reports. Do we have any reports that we want to cover right now? Okay. Well, I have one thing to report. Michael Party-Foxley has sent me an email with the international committee report, and I will have a printout of that report at the meeting later this afternoon. So if you're interested in that and you have questions, please come to that meeting.
That's at 4 p.m. in the Ash Room, which is on this floor.
Okay. Moving on, the next agenda item is rating issues. And we had item 1, quick rating system formula testing. Bill Boyford.
Mike Nolan could probably explain better than I can what the status is.
There were 2 different set of tests. One of them, the tests have been completed, the analysis is still ongoing. We ran 18 different tests. To be honest, there was not a huge improvement in any of them, so I don't know whether Mark will be making a recommendation to change any of the formulas. The second set of testing is the regular and quick issue. We're still formulating how we want to test that. I'm hoping we can get that started later this summer or early in the fall. I'll keep you posted as I learn more on that. We did have a request from Mark Lickman, the chair of the rating committee. The rating committee is recommending that the K factor, which we reduced from 10 to 6 several years ago, to try to increase the rate at which we reflate the ratings back to where they were in the late 90s. They would like to change the K factor from 6 to 8, and I would like to do that effective probably August 1st. So
The K factor or the bonus point threshold?
I'm sorry, what?
It wasn't.
The bonus factor, I'm sorry.
The bonus point threshold.
I stand corrected.
That was one of the things that was being tested for certain rating ranges, so I would think that.
Actually, what we were testing was what the impact of these various ratings, what the impact of the bonus factor was on those, and the impact of the bonus factor was fairly minimal on the groups that we were paper that describes the rating system formula, that is available, there is a link to that on our website. That's not for light reading. It's very heavily into mathematics, and I only recommend it to insomniacs.
Let me understand the bonus system. If you lose to a underrated player, lower than you, it should be, say, for instance, he gains 20 points and you lose 20 points. But the bonus system is that he might get an 8-point bonus, but it wouldn't cost you any more than the 20.
Is Ken here?
Ken who?
Sloan.
Bob, do you want to go into it, or do you want me to go into it?
Okay, I'm not sure I understand the question.
Does the
I think I can do
does
probably.
the bonus
I can do
affect
the Cliff Notes for
the
you.
opponent?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. We have a multi-step rating system formula. First, we take the people who are unrated and we come up with an approximate rating for them. The second step is we calculate an intermediate final rating for everybody. This is where the first time when the bonus factor comes into account. So somebody who has an exceptionally good performance, their rating would move up. The final stage then is to use that intermediate rating to compute everybody's final rating. So if somebody gets a 20-point bonus as a result of that, then when your rating is computed, your corrected rating, your new rating, it uses that adjusted rating rather than their original rating. So because you're seeing somebody that's 20 points higher, if you lost that person, your loss is diminished.
That's
So
good.
it's an attenuation formula.
Okay. I think I understand.
I think I should say something that occurred to me that a lot of you might not have understood what I was referring to when I was talking to the tests that you're doing and how they relate to the bonus. I mean, basically, you were doing tests of two things that the board was interested in. One was we felt and we heard from a lot of people that in the range of expert and higher class A and maybe lower master, and in that range, the ratings changed much more slowly than they used to, like before 2001. And there's unhappiness about this, and we feel the ratings should change more rapidly. So part of the study was, can we do that without causing significant inaccuracy? And that, of course, relates not only to decay, but it relates to the bonus also. Because, we don't want to make this change if it's going to cause inaccuracy. And the second thing that was being tested was the idea that for higher ratings, master ratings, it was more than one suggestion, so it's not clear whether it was just...
There were 2 points. One was 24 and the other was 2,500.
Yeah, and it, I think, started 2,200 and maybe be graduated, but basically the idea here is that we want our rating system to show more accurately how our best players play at classical chess at slower time limits. And that's one of the features that FIDE has, that their ratings exclude, game 30, and while they do have, I think, game 60 for low-rated players, that's excluded for higher players. So, it's given their ratings, I think, a certain prestige that our ratings lack. And, we don't want game 30 to have a lot of effect on grandmaster ratings. So one of the things that your studies are looking at is various ways in which we might have a system where something like at 2,400, maybe faster time limits, maybe faster than game 60, are rated at half K or something like that. There was a few different systems, or it might be graduated where 2201 is 99% and so forth, on up to where maybe 2600 is only 20% or 25%. I mean, we don't know the exact numbers, but I think when we look at the results of the study, we'll be able to devise a good system. Once we see the impact on accuracy. It sounds like what you're saying they didn't find anything dynamic regarding accuracy.
Right. There were, of the 18 tests we conducted, we looked at I forget what basically a
optimistic that the board will act right away, and then we can make the changes at the same time that we do the bonus change, the threshold change that the ratings
Yeah,
committee.
and the bonus change, that affects players below 1,800 a lot more than it affects players above.
Yes, but it affects both.
Okay.
Okay, Madam President.
Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda is the 501c3 status, and that was covered by both Alan and Bill Hall. So we'll skip over that unless anyone has questions. Okay. Moving on, we also already covered online chess status and plans. And does anyone have any questions about that? Good. We've delayed a couple of items on the agenda to the Sunday session. So moving on, I did want to mention again, though I mentioned it already in my opening remarks, that Steve Emmett did try out mixed doubles prizes with great success in his tournament. Players called women players to get them on the team, people who wouldn't have been playing otherwise. And this kind of innovative thinking is what's going to really make a real change in our organization. So I would encourage everybody, if you have an idea, go ahead and try it, and if it works, send out an email blast, and other people will try it, and it may be adopted. Any questions about that?
What we want to really get other people to try it is to have some sort of national mixed doubles championship.
Well, that's an interesting idea. Okay. We can discuss that later.
Alex, did you have a comment? I don't understand. You have a mixed doubles prize in a tournament, and that encourages players to call up a girl, and then you add your two results in the tournament together for a prize. Is that the gist of it?
Yes, but it works